Quorum here. I just left the health meeting that's got a few more minutes. It'll break up here shortly, then we'll get a few more members, then we'll have one that leaves. Or there's one coming from health right now, so. Senator Hickman, would you lead us in the invocation?
I will. Thank you, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you've given us another great day, Heavenly Father, to honor you, and we ask you to please watch over us, Lord, as we review these bills. Lord, give us the wisdom, justice, and courage to do the right things for the people of Georgia. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So, Senator Eccles, if you want to come on up. Senator Eccles has probably doubled my social calendar. This is part one of part two of the Lobbyist Employment Act that he's carrying this year.
Keep everybody busy working. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let me turn your mic on there. So we've got Senate Bill 522, and let's see, you've got a substitute for this, I believe. Tell me the number of your substitute, make sure we all got the same one.
LC 590375S.
All right.
I appreciate that. I'm just walking job security for these people in the hallways.
Yeah.
It's what I hear anyway. I bring before you a bill, SB 522 today. Appreciate y'all taking the time to hear it. In the off season, I was fortunate enough to chair a study committee on tourism. And we traveled the state. We gained knowledge of industry needs, what other states are doing, and how tourism contributes to Georgia's economy and our way of life. Originally, I told industry folks that I'm very supportive of that industry. I'm a farmer by trade, but also if you come up and you see our parking lot, it's full of Floridians and North Carolinians. People from all over the country really come to our farm to have a on-farm experience, or also just shop. But I also realize that when we go to Florida, when we go to some of our neighboring states, listen, we pay for their roads, we pay for their schools, and this is just one avenue to try to get some of that back. And our marketing efforts in the state of Georgia were grossly underfunded as opposed to our neighboring states and states all over the southeast. Y'all also know, I don't have to tell y'all anything, that in our chamber we've been talking a lot about eliminating income tax. The House has talked about eliminating property tax. We actually voted that out of our chamber the other day. This bill, it gives us, a small mechanism to recoup some of that. Senate Bill 522 puts a $5 fee on rental cars. It's $5 a day. It exempts repairs, maintenance, and replacement. What we tried to do there is it's unconstitutional to write the bill in such a way that it exempts Georgians, but we're trying to catch as few Georgians as possible, adding that language in there. We also put in there that 20% of that money generated be designated subject to appropriations to tourism marketing. And that doesn't completely get us in line with other states, but it's a step in the right direction, and I think the industry would use that as a shot in the arm and as an incentive to push for more conventions and getting more visitors across Georgia, which hopefully results in more rental cars. The fiscal note was pretty substantial here. On the low end, it's estimated at $59 million. On the high end, $121 million. So it's a lot of money. And exempting repairs, maintenance, just add that we hope to capture the out-of-state revenue rather than hardworking Georgians who are renting a car out of necessity. In 2015, some of you guys were around here then, and a $5 fee on hotels passed. From some of you with the experience back then, y'all tell me it passed in the dead of night. If I did anything wrong in this process, I'm doing this way too early and not doing it in the dead of night. So just trying to be upfront with everybody. In the industry, in the hotel industry, I think there was a lot of a lot of angst toward that $5 and that nobody was ever going to stay in a hotel again ever in the state of Georgia. But that's not what happened. As a matter of fact, in 2024, that funding, that $5 raised $203 million, and all that money is dedicated toward DOT. So, you know, while this may hurt on the front end a little bit, I think that in the grand scheme, I think it's an opportunity for us to, you know, recoup some of what we spend when our folks go visit our neighboring states. It's an opportunity to give back to the industry that does bring in $5 billion of taxes a year into the state of Georgia. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, we've got a few people that want to testify, and we're going to try to give a little bit of time on there, but questions from the committee first. Senator Hodges.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing the bill, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask you two questions. One, what's the purpose of the bill?
Well, like I mentioned on the very front end of my comments, that I did the study committee, chaired the study committee, and Senator Halpern was on the committee with us, and I did it twofold. I did it because I love the industry and I know what it brings into the state of Georgia and what it does for the state. But also, I think we leave a lot on the table when we're talking about other states and what we're paying for in those other states. This bill right here, this does not put us in the top of rental car fees. Nowhere close to the top of rental car fees in the country. As a matter of fact, it just kind of gets us in line with that.
So the purpose is not to hurt rental cars. It's to help tourism, to bring more people here. And coming from a part of the state that really relies on tourism, if the purpose is to promote tourism, why just 20%? Why not more?
Well, I also mentioned that I think the industry. If y'all want to put an amendment on it to make it 80-20 the other way, we can work on that. But no, I think the industry. It's hard to go make them whole, make the industry whole, and just get them in line with all our neighboring states and southeastern states, just with the snap of our fingers. But I think a bill like this incentivizes them to push for more conferences and conventions and get people here renting cars.
Well, again, if the purpose is to help tourism, then, I mean, basically 80% of this money's going into the general fund. It does say at least, so I guess who would it be up to decide that at least 20% or not 20%?
It's subject to appropriations, and I think some of the talk is there's not been a bill like this for the tourism industry in at least 15 years, and I think this would.
So more could go in?
It could, absolutely.
Would you entertain a 50-50?
I would entertain it, but I think this may be uphill with the wind in my face as is,
Okay.
with all these statewide
All right,
guys sitting in the room.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate the effort to try to get our state to do more about tourism. It is our number 2 industry, and it's on the incline too. So I also think we should spend more money promoting this beautiful state we have, and I would like to see more than 20% of this go directly to that.
And the author will tell you I asked the same question of him. But like he said, it is subject to appropriations. We had a problem with that with our scrap tire fee years ago, just being used, though there was a time the state was desperate for money during the recession as well. But we had a constitutional amendment to dedicate those fees that I was a part of. Senator Harbin, I think you were next.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for bringing the bill. Question, as I read on line 13 and 14, it is that this does not apply to those vehicles that are for breakdown, repair, service, damage, or loss. Is that correct? Is that someone would have to prove that this is basically an insurance claim, or because your car is in there for service? We're basically saying that if you are a part of Georgia, if you're a Georgian, we don't want to charge you, but we want to charge those people who are outside of our state. Am I?
Yes,
clarifying that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We're saying it without saying it.
You're saying it without saying it. We want to get even with our neighbors for charging us, so we're going to charge them, right?
In some degree, yes, sir.
In some degree. Would this also include programs like Turo, where this would be that if we have a citizen, he's also gonna pay that for his renting of the cars, things of that nature. That $5 is gonna be amended onto their bill, correct?
Yes, and if you'll notice on line number 18 there, we that's one of the reasons that we brought the sub today, just to get some clarity right there. And in a lot of ways, Turo is kind of currently flying under the radar, so to speak, when it comes to some of these taxes and fees that are implemented.
Do we think that we'll have any retaliatory actions by other states, since we're gonna tax them, they're gonna come back and tax us? Is that have been even considered? Just curious.
Our Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida are currently higher than us anyway, so
They're charging a per day.
they're charging their rate, their taxes and fees are higher than us.
Okay, okey-doke. Thank you, sir.
All right, Senator Dolezal, I believe you were next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Eccles, for bringing the bill. I just want to clarify a question that Senator Hodges was asking. If you really wanted to dedicate these funds, it would need to be done constitutionally. And while it could be more than 20%, it could also be zero. If we pass this bill, none of this money could go to tourism without a constitutional amendment. Likewise, all of it could go. And we could put $50 million into tourism in the budget if we wanted to without passing this bill as well. So it's really, I just want to make sure that, and I know that I'm not informing every member of the committee, but just since it came up, I just want to make sure that we recognize this is not a CA, that really that line in the bill has no force of law to kind of force this money to go to tourism.
I understand, and Chairman and I spoke to that a couple times, and look, I think political headwinds is something that we can revisit later on and get a, I think we refer to it as an oral paragraph on some of this legislation, but to get this more palatable and try to get the ball moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. I just want to make sure that for the committee that
Understand.
that even if we change it to 50%,
Correct.
it really has it's up to the future General Assemblies,
Yeah.
apart from a constitutional amendment.
Yes, sir.
Senator Halpern?
Thank you. We just got this little card that kind of shows where Georgia sits in terms of its marketing dollars versus other states in the region and around the country. And obviously, we're sitting at the bottom of the bars here at just 5.4 million. Will you remind me, please, what the return on investment is in tourism for every dollar that we speak, if you recall?
$8 to $12 is the ROI for what we spend, what a state spends, and that's pretty much what you hear from all over the country, not just here in Georgia, but it's pretty good return on investment. And the beauty of it is it's near immediate. It's not like some tax credit that's 15, 20, 30 years out.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go on to the testimony, then we can have more questions afterwards.
Just, could I make one just observation?
Sure.
If I look at the lowest ones have the best football team, so something must be tied to this, that the lower your fees,
All
the
right.
better your team. I just wanted to make that
Appreciate
observation.
that. We've got Jennings Hughes that wanted to testify. You know, come up and have a seat.
Thank you, Mr.
We're
Chairman.
gonna need to leave. I've got 4 people, 2
Real
on each
quick.
side, but I need to leave this just a couple of minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I'm Jennings Hughes. I represent GACVB, the State Convention and Visitors Bureau Association. Thank you, Diego, for passing our cards out. Y'all can see Georgia there at the bottom. Thank you, Chairman Eccles, for the study committee this summer. Thank you, Senator Halpern. We had hundreds of people come out to these meetings. It was a great response. The tourism industry, there's nearly 500,000 jobs of people that are either directly or indirectly working on tourism in the state. We love this bill. We like the idea of a fee with maybe some of the portion going to tourism, maybe not. A constitutional amendment would be more firm, but it's the #2 industry in the state. We would like to see our marketing at the state level support the locals. Locals invest to bring people to their community, but we would like to see that overarching brand of Georgia tie all of that messaging together. Like Chairman Eccles said, there's a great ROI. If you spend, you receive something in return. when you market your own political campaigns, you see something in return. I think that if we were to market the state, we could see increased visitation, and then that cycle of revenue, tax revenue, it benefits everybody. So if y'all ever have any questions on tourism, I'd be happy to speak with any of you. My name is Jennings Hughes. There is a state fee in Florida, in South Carolina, in Connecticut, in New Jersey, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of different states that are taking money derived from rental cars and then directing it back to tourism in some capacity. So we love this idea.
All right. We're gonna just do the testimony right now. Appreciate the
Thank you,
testimony. Let's go to the other side. I've got Don Newton. You here testify? We'll do back and forth. Well, I guess we won't do back and forth because here comes Heather, so.
Oh,
So we'll give, no, you're gonna give them the last word, but that's okay.
Okay. Afternoon. So my name's Dan Newton. I'm the controller for Enterprise, run a car in Georgia. 522 dropped on Thursday, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today at such short notice. Also the time with Chairman Eccles, we appreciate it today. So my goal is really to show how this bill would impact car rental and why the burden of this proposed fee will fall largely on Georgia residents and Georgia businesses. We've got over 120 locations in Georgia and only a handful of airports. We employ over 1,500 people in the state with over 1,200 neighborhood locations, i.e. not at the airport. We operate over 110 neighborhood locations in Georgia, and the point I want to make here is that firstly, car rental is primarily a local business. 75% of our business that we do in this state is not at the airport, it's at these neighborhood locations. So I hope really this addresses the misconception that car rental is primarily out at the airport. It's in the home city and it's in the neighborhoods for us. 91% of our business today at these 110 locations are to individuals with Georgia driver's licenses. So these are Georgia residents renting cars from us at these 110 plus neighborhood locations. Therefore, the heavy burden of this $5 fee is going to fall square in the lap of Georgia residents and Georgia businesses. 50% of our non-airport business is to Georgia businesses and Georgia residents who simply need a car for transportation purposes. The other 50% relates to replacement-related rentals, which we talked about earlier on. We have thousands of local regular renters who rely on car rental and local communities for basic transportation, many in underserved communities who often struggle today to pay the deposit. The other part about 522 is that it's a regressive fee structure. That means that it hits local price-sensitive renters the hardest, given that it's a flat fee and not a percentage. And this fee will create a serious concern when it comes to affordability. On the commercial side, so our largest customers are Home Depot, UPS, Delta, Chick-fil-A, and the state of Georgia. This proposed fee would cost each of them over $75,000 annually. The state of Georgia is our largest corporate customer, and we had over 150,000 rental days to the state of Georgia last year. So based on that, this extra $5 fee would cost the state $750,000 annually, and that is growing. So the largest single burden of this proposed fee would likely be incurred by the state itself. So this effectively would shift money out of agency budgets without providing any operational benefit.
Need to wrap it up pretty quick. I got
Sure.
three
I
other
mean, I
bills
will
today.
talk also just about the fee structure that we have today in our business, which at the neighborhood locations, it's around about 11%. You add an extra $5 on top of this, a neighborhood rental is going to be around 20%. At the airport is crushed with additional fees, somewhere between 30 and 40% today. You add another $5 to that, and it's going to be around 50%. One real example I want to show you is just the impact of an additional fee on our business. Last year, car rental revenues at the airport were back $20 million over 2024. They were back $17 million from July through December. The reason that happened was because the airport increased the CFC from $5 to $8.50 a day. So that shows you the knock-on effect of an increase in the fee on our business, where revenue dropped $17 million. Really, to finish, we think that it's going to have a negative impact in tourism and business travel. It's going to increase the cost of visiting Georgia. It's going to reduce the competitiveness relative to neighboring states. And it's really going to place Atlanta, already who's facing high rental costs, at a disadvantage for convention and event planning. So a tourism fee that discourages tourism seems like it's counterproductive. So just to sum, the majority of the burden we think would fall on local Georgia residents and Georgia businesses. It would cost Georgia's own state agencies over $750,000 a year. It would drive the total
All right,
tax.
I need to, you're repeating yourself. You already
Yeah.
gave that. I need to stop at that point.
That's fine.
You got anything you need to add?
Last thing, in 2018, so when this was brought up in 2015, the laws were just a little bit different. In 2018, and this recently came into our hands today, about an hour ago, the FAA passed a reauthorization law, which really speaks to adding additional fees at the airport. So again, the airport has a big chunk of these days. That law states that if our airport is taking airport improvement program funds, those, you can't add on another fee to that. So if you back out all those airport days are essentially exempt from doing this because our airport's taking those funding dollars. All you're looking at is the leftover home city days once you extrapolate all the replacement, maintenance, all of those. So
Well,
which
I
really
would
comes
hope the
back to
fiscal
that.
note would have reflected that, but we can check and see.
Yes,
All right,
so
with-
anyway, wanted to add that in there because that's a recent deal. You can also look up what happened in Colorado because there's some precedents there in regards to this.
Right, I know Colorado's had something. Okay, thanks for your testimony.
Thank you.
We've got Chris Hardman, I believe is how you say your name. You want to come up and, again, try not to repeat what's been said, but tell us new information.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in the interest of time, I've also got my good friend Michael Owens, who has also signed up to speak. He's the president of TLC, the Tourism Leadership Council. I'm Chris Hardman. I'm president and CEO of the Georgia Hotel and Lodging Association, and we are here to speak in strong support of Senate Bill 522. I want to begin by thanking our good friend and the Mr. Tourism himself, Chairman Drew Eccles, who brought this legislation because of the energy and the drive that he heard from the industry throughout this offseason during the Senate Study Committee on making Georgia the #1 state for tourism. But to Chairman Harbin's point, we do not want to be last. None of our football teams want to be last. And actually, the creator of those graphs were Michael here. So I was hoping he could speak on some of that data and that statewide comparison. So Michael,
Yeah,
I'll
so
turn it over to you.
the how much a state spends in marketing for tourism is often very difficult to understand. We spent weeks and weeks and weeks going through other states' appropriations, subcommittee appropriations, to really understand what is the state spending on the brand, and that's what created that graph that you see before you. After literally countless hours of research into our competitive states, what you won't see on there is Florida. We chose not to put Florida on there because we thought it was an intellectually dishonest conversation. We don't have Disney World here. We don't have that draw in the state of Georgia. So we really wanted to talk about those states that we really are competing with. And I'll wrap up. I'm sympathetic with what the gentleman from the rental car company said. It's exactly what we said and what we were worried about 10 years ago when the hotel motel fee, the $5 hotel motel fee passed, which, by the way, the majority of the $5 hotel motel fee paid in this state for 10 years is paid by Georgians. The #1 customer for hotels in the state of Georgia are other Georgians. I would also point out that the roads that those rental cars rely on are subsidized by the hotels in that $5 hotel motel fee.
And so to wrap up on his comments, we fully support Senate Bill 522. We thank Chairman Eccles once again for bringing this forward. And we just want that regulatory fee to go back to the regulatory activity in which it was collected. That's tourism. So we can grow our return on investment so that dollar can turn into $8 to $12. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're happy to
All right.
stand or sit for any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. This is going to be a hearing only today, so we appreciate the testimony. I need to hear from the members on how they feel.
Thank you,
We'll
Chair.
double check the fiscal note. And who are you wanting to question?
We heard testimony from Enterprise that,
Okay, get your mic if you're going to do that.
I'm sorry. We heard testimony from Enterprise that state agencies would be paying, that the state would be paying, what was it, $750,000 a year? And I'd like to see that reflected in a fiscal note, for the Lord's sake. if that's the case, what
Well,
one would think.
That's why I stated that we'll recheck the fiscal
Thank you,
notes
Mr.
and see
Chair.
if it's in there. All right, you can wrap up if you want to, or you can wait for me here, will the committee, whatever you want to do.
Just a couple things.
Okay.
We spent a couple weeks with Ledge Council and Senate Research running that rabbit as far as the airport's concerned. And the way this is written, we feel pretty good about where we're at. And then I appreciate that comment, Senator Orrock. There's a lot of state employees that get hotel rooms across the state of Georgia. Day in, day out, so that $5 fee applies to them, but we'll be happy to try to get an accurate number for you as far as what state agencies are renting cars and
Yeah. Senator
If I can
Alves.
clarify that, when anybody in state business travels, they can bring a tax exempt form to not pay taxes, just for y'all to know. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for the testimony. We'll, committee members, let me know your concerns, your feeling on this. We'll look at this in the future. All right, we're gonna go on to Senator Hickman's bill. You can do it down front or wherever you want to at.
Yeah, before you leave, and before the members of the audience leave, I think this tourism issue needs to really be addressed. I support comments that have been made about how important it is to our state. States like Michigan have really done a really good job promoting their state, and we see it on our televisions here. I don't know that we're doing much outside of Georgia. Obviously, we don't spend much to do it, but I believe we should make a commitment as a General Assembly to help our state better in tourism. But one idea that I think we need to discuss is take existing revenues that we have today. If you look at a hotel bill, when you check out of the hotels in Georgia, it depends on which city you're in or which county you're in, the fees are exorbitant. They're up to 15% for hotel motel tax. And then all the parking fees on top of that, it can be as much as $70 to $100 per night. I just think we've got the revenues there in the state funds and even the local funds. If we could come up with some kind of a match and grant program, take some of that existing sales tax money that's already being collected at that hotel motel level, carve it out of the general fund, and then let the locals also pitch in, and we can promote tourism in Georgia. And some of these cities that want to participate can pitch in as well, just like we do LMIG money at GDOT. There's just got to be some creativity. If we don't pass this bill this year and it sits another year, we need to be doing something to help promote tourism
Well,
in Georgia.
visit with Senator Echols and give him
All right.
your
Thank you.
thoughts and let me know from everybody. I think Senator Gooch was trying to filibuster so your bill wasn't heard today. I don't know, but go ahead, Senator
Well,
Hickman.
I didn't take it as that. I took that as very informative information. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you for, we're looking at Senate Bill 515, LC 49, 25, 55. And I've asked Kerry Pritchard with the Department of Education to inject if we need to. First of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members for hearing this bill. I think we need to go back and digress and tell a little bit how we got to this point. And I think all y'all know how we got to this point. It's called education, and it's called our children not being able to read. You all know that the passion that the Senate has had over the last several years concerning our students not reading on grade level. And we continue to work to solve this problem. Y'all were gracious last year to pass Senate Resolution 237, which I said, I'm a CPA, I'm not qualified to know why people don't want to teach, and I don't know why people are getting out of teaching. But I thought that Dr. Jody Barrow with Professional Standards would head up a group that would be made up of University System of Georgia, Technical College System of Georgia, Department of Education, State Board of Education, Student Finance, and others to get together in a room and break down the silos and find out and come up with some very informative suggestions of how we can get more people into the teaching profession and how we can get people to stay in the teaching profession longer. And they did that. They issued a great report, and I would encourage many of you to look at that if you haven't done it. I know our committee members have not only read some of it, but they've also, Dr. Barrett's done a presentation at our meeting. So very detailed, a lot of suggestions, a lot of recommendations. I will say this, what's so impressive about this report, and you hopefully you would be impressed if you read it, that I asked Dr. Barrett to tell me how many hours was put in this report, putting this report together, and people hours, over 3,000 people hours. So it's very, we're taking education very, very serious, and we know the Senate is taking it serious. Some of the things that came out of that report is no student teacher pay. You know, we got interns in our office today. Every one of you got interns. We pay the interns. We don't pay student teachers a dime. They either student teach or the travel. That's in the report. We had a data governance bill that we passed out of education a few days ago that should be heard on the floor in just the next few days. So the big literacy bill that's coming forward that the Senate and the House passed, we've got companion bills. That's a part of this recommendation. And of course, chronic absenteeism that Senator Dickinson did such a great job on that bill in the Education Committee last week. So all this is coming about, and all this is an addition of why we're here today and so forth. So just to give y'all a heads up, you know, we got a huge teacher shortage in Georgia. Jody Barrow says they do an annual survey. Dr. Albers, excuse me, Chairman Albers.
Promotion.
Lord, I just read Chairman Albers. They do a survey every year in December, and in December of 25, we had 5,358 vacancies in Georgia for teacher jobs. Now let me bring that a little bit closer to my home. One of my home communities is Evans County, Claxton, Georgia. They started out, according to Superintendent Brad Anderson, started out this year in August in K through 5 with 6 vacancies in K through 5. What did that mean? That meant that he did not have a degreed teacher in the classroom K through 5. 6 classes. Go a little bit further. So I talked to Mr. Anderson 2 weeks ago, and he still had 3 vacancies in classrooms K through 5 in that school. So we've gone 7 months in those classrooms. There's not a degreed teacher in the classroom, a shortage of teachers, 5,358 across Georgia. One of my favorite quotes that Dr. Barrett used in the report was, educators are the only workforce whose performance determines the quality and size of all future workforces. He also goes on to say, Georgia cannot deliver on its commitment to students without a strong, stable educational workforce. So we all know if we don't have teachers in the classroom, our students will not be able to read. We're currently under a bill, a House bill, teacher tax credit bill that will expire December this year, December 26th. So our bill is an intention to not only extend that, but also we have modified that bill some, and I'll tell you about that. Our bill, Senate Bill 515, modifies the bill. The current bill is a $3,000 tax credit per year for 5 years for 1,000 educators, or a $3 million total. We are not proposing to change that total. What we are proposing to look at, we've asked Austin Gibbons with the Department of Revenue to look at it and see what the average tax credit is that's been used under this bill. And in 22, the average tax credit was $2,294. 23, it was $2,486. In 24, it's $2,225. So the teachers that are qualifying for this tax credit are not using the total dollars available. So what we're proposing is.
Let me turn my mic on here. So there is a 2,500 credit currently, right?
That's correct, sir.
And so they're using about 2,300. One time I thought I heard you say 2,486, which pretty much takes care of it. Another one 2,200. So they're using at least 90% of it right now.
So what we would like to do in this bill, we would like to drop that amount down to $2,500 and expand the people that will qualify.
So when you expand it, is it still have the $1,000 limit? I mean, 1,000-person limit?
No, it'll be 12. It'll be 1,250.
1,250.
Yes.
Okay.
1,250.
It'll be 1,200.
So it'll go from the credit will go from a $3,000 credit to a $2,500 credit.
Tell everybody who you are. I know,
Oh, I'm
I know who
sorry.
you are since you worked for Lindsay Tippins years
Ye-
ago, but
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Carrie Pritchard, with the Department of Education. So currently, the credit is for $3,000 for 1,000 teachers that represent 100 schools. What the new bill will do is change the tax credit to $2,500 for 1,250 teachers in specific subject areas from specific schools.
The credit will, the total dollar amount will remain the same.
Yes,
Okay.
total dollar.
Available credit amount will remain the same. So we're expanding, but we're also, we're changing a little bit the way the classes or the teachers that qualify. So in line seven.
So go through that. I mean, there's a lot of lines taken out where you're changing, you're opening it up. So can you kind of go through that sort of quickly, or one of you?
What won't you do it, Karen?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll just kind of go through, start on section 1, for the definitions. We've taken out the high needs subject area, participating local school and participating schools. What we did instead of it being high needs subject areas, we identified the 5 kind of highest need areas statewide, which will be special education, math, science, CTAE, and ELA. But with the ELA, you have to have, the teacher has to have a reading or a dyslexia endorsement in order to potentially qualify.
And that is not in the current bill.
That is not in the current bill, correct. So it also requires that the teacher has graduated from an EPP program, an educator prep program in the state of Georgia at either a USG institution or a private institution. We have kind of on page 3, made some changes to what constitutes a qualifying public school. The details are a little bit later on, but it basically opens it up to the lowest 25% of the schools in Georgia are the ones that are going to qualify be a qualified public school. Part of the reason why we did that, this is a retention tool or a recruitment tool, more so than a retention tool for finding quality teachers. So regardless if it's a teacher that just graduated from a post-secondary institution or if it is a teacher that is looking for a change from where they currently are, they have an option to go to one of these schools to be able to potentially qualify for the tax credit. We took out the contract for them to submit their school year contract. They don't have to do that. We collect that. The department collects that information. We can verify their employment. Page 4 is where we included grandfathering language as well as the 25, changing it from the 3,000 to the 2,500. Lines 80 through 82. That just grandfathers the teachers that are now qualified for the program can continue to get the $3,000, but anybody after the 26 tax year, so next year's applicants, it'll be the $2,500. I mentioned the qualifying public schools. The department will take the bottom 25% and determine which 100 will qualify.
100 schools.
Out of those, up to one, it'll be 100 schools.
Now, when you qualify for one of these, do you stay on it, or do you have to qualify each year? How does that work?
So that is later on in the bill, but basically what it is as long as you stay employed at the school that you had applied for, or you are involuntarily moved to another school, you will continue to qualify for the 5-year.
In the same district.
In the same, it has to be in the same district. The involuntary move, it has to be within the same district. But you have to stay within the same school that you were hired unless your school, because the school system, teacher contracts are with the school system, not the school. So you could start the school year at at Spalding Elementary School, and then halfway through, you might get moved to Apple Valley just to
Yeah, and one of the reasons I was asking that is your sunset on line 191 is a little bit longer than we like to do things.
That's right.
We kind of got burned on one dealing with
And we
data centers
recommend-
already that.
Yeah, we
that got
recognize that
10
when
years
the-
past our vote. But the question along with that is that, so on that sunset, if you already qualified, do you continue on? If you qualify in 34, do you continue on for 5 years?
Yes.
That is
So that it
correct.
really goes to 2039 then.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we got to visit that. That's one of the issues we'll need to
Yeah.
visit.
Okay.
And we're open to that. We're open to
Okay.
that.
Senator Albers, you had a question. Go ahead this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just got a few questions. First, Carrie, great to see you. Thank you for all your hard work. And Senator Hickman, your passion for education and literacy is just unmatched. Thank you for
Thank
what
you,
you're
sir.
doing. Just a couple quick questions. I realize that we're keeping the dollars the same, and they're pretty straightforward, but I think because it still will impact past the date, we would need a fiscal note for this bill. Is that not true, Mr.
We've
Chairman?
requested one. We don't have
Okay,
it yet.
all right. And then you already mentioned the part about the sunset on line 191. You mentioned the issue we have with having a non-degreed teacher in some of your classrooms, and I know we have that in other areas of the state as well. My question would be, maybe it's a comment/question, is, you know, as the world has changed away from that, and I always use examples, you know, Larry Ellison was either the number 1 or number 2 richest man in the world, but he can't teach second grade math in Georgia. Bill Gates can't teach computers in Georgia. Billy Joel can't teach music in Georgia. Now, arguably, these are the 3 greatest on their planet for everything they ever did, but they lack a college degree to do that. So are we willing to be a little more creative and truly look at people's life experiences in order to fill those important gaps as opposed to just a piece of paper?
Well, my understanding, Senator Settler is working on a bill that will allow people like that to come into the system and teach.
And we do have,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
all but one school system in the state of Georgia has a performance contract with the state, whether it's strategic waiver or a charter system. And we allow flexibility with certification and focus. We allow districts to make their determination of real world experience. So, you know, Chairman Hickman is a CPA. We have a financial literacy requirement, and we have economics classes or an economics class that is a graduation requirement. Senator Hickman could potentially qualify to go work at a school system to teach that class.
But that's because he has a college degree. What about someone who did not complete their degree, like the 3 folks I mentioned earlier?
That's more of a PSC question, but it is something to look at, and I see and understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, sir.
my numbers are probably 3 or 4 years out of date, but the last time I checked, the top 25 most wealthy, successful people in this world, less than half of them had a college degree. So if we're just basing things only on that and not on their God-given experience and things they're done, I think this helps fill the gaps. And you know, we're constantly looking for one more incentive, right? I don't know if we always get to the root of the problem. And I would actually, I'd be more open to looking at a performance-based bonus system than trying to do something off of their taxes all the time. Because it just creates yet another issue we have in our tax code. So I just wanted to know if we could look at some different options potentially, as opposed to just always holding on a carrot. 'Cause we have added, what, about $9,000 in teacher raises in the last 8 years, I think?
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned about the fiscal note. Is that because of the 34-day, or is that?
Well, I need to see what their interpretation is of how long it goes out. That's part of the need for it. Is it looks to me, when I'm reading this, it goes through 2039. So we need to get the fiscal note, and we need to look at the sunset before we move forward on this.
Well, you know, obviously, without being, we'd like to have this pass this session if we could.
Right, I understand that. We've got time, but we do have to get those questions answered. I requested the fiscal note
And
pretty much the time you gave me the bill.
And we would definitely be amenable to the 5-year versus the 10-year.
Okay.
Right now.
All right, great. Senator Anderson, we got a couple more bills after this, and we're only gonna hear it today, so
Real
at some
brief.
point I need to move on.
Real brief, Chairman Hickman, thank you for your passion for our children. You say right now, currently it's 1,000 teachers, and you want to go to 1,250.
That's right. Yes, sir. That would qualify.
Do we have 1,000 people, 1,000 teachers that's now?
Yeah, if you want that.
Right now, there are people taking the credit right now,
Yeah, yeah.
I
That-
mean,
that-
is it-
that's
do we-
obviously
do
one
we-
of-
have we-
that's obviously, Mr. Chairman, one of our big issues right now is, and that's why we're working so hard with the college and universities to get these people to make teaching the profession that it was at one time.
So we have 1,000 teachers that have.
That would be a question. That's a, don't know.
What-
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, get us the answer before the next
Yeah.
meeting, if
Yeah.
you would, for Senator Anderson. Senator Orrock.
Thank you. Thank you for your bill, Senator Hickman. And I would just point out, isn't it true that the sooner we can provide financial aid that's needs-based for people to enter college and seek degrees, that is a critical way to address the workforce shortage in the teaching profession for Georgia. It's a direct link. There are people that cannot go to college now because of their financial need. And the sooner we start putting in a financial aid that's needs-based, we're filling the pipeline with people that can be trained to be teachers. Isn't that a direct
I think the
link?
senator has passion, but we do have those with a B average have the Zell Miller as well, so.
No, that only,
we've
that
got-
doesn't pay for the non-tuition things.
It was for
Mr. Chairman.
tuition, the majority of the cost, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna probably need to stop at this point, and get to a couple of more bills.
Okay.
I think we've got several things we still need to get. What Senator Anderson wants, look at the sunset and the fiscal note, but
That'd be fine. Now, like I said,
Appreciate
we'd be more than happy to agree with that.
All
We
right.
We also, Mr. Chairman, on the very last page.
so did you
of-
put it in there and hope we didn't catch it or what? So.
No, no. I would never underestimate the intelligence of the chairman.
No. Oh, now he's
But on
pandering.
page 9, we need to change that date to January 1 of 2027.
All right. Well, we appreciate
Thank you, sir.
the presentation. Great to see you again,
Yes, sir.
Carrie. And I know you're quite a numbers guru on
Thank
your
you,
own, exceeding my knowledge of QBE. I know that. Well, probably one of the 6 or 7 people in the state that understands QBE, I think. So.
Don't give away my secrets.
All right. Did we lose Senator Robertson? Oh, did he? Okay. We added him on. Yeah. Well, pretty quick here. Or get more qualified. All right, well, let's talk about this bill anyway, one of his, even though he's abandoned the committee. Senate Bill 306, I believe we passed this out last year, and it was one of those that was in rules on the last day that didn't get called up when time ran out. Anybody have any? I think it, okay, I think it is a, I think it's a different LC number because they're making us do it that way, but the language is the same. He's got two bills here, yeah. So, we filibustered as long as we can. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe he had a 4 o'clock meeting, I don't know, but we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here.